Hello, Tri-Cities, and welcome to the 2020 Candidate Forum, the only business-focused candidate forum here in the Tri-Cities, and it's brought to you by the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce. So in this forum, you will be hearing for candidates running for Washington State House of Representatives in the 16th Legislative District, Position 2. I'm Madeline Hagan, and news anchor and reporter with KVUE News in Kennewick. I'm so happy to be here today with you all. Early voting starts as ballots will begin appearing in mailboxes on October 13th and runs through Election Day on Tuesday, November 3rd. So thank you so much for joining us to hear the candidates' thoughts on issues that matter here in the Tri-Cities community. And now we have a message from the president and CEO of the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce, Laurie Matson.
As the foremost advocate and voice for business, the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce leads by advancing policies and positions that strengthen, preserve, and promote a thriving business climate, economy, and quality of life. The 2020 candidate forums are designed to highlight how candidate positions integrate with local business priorities. I'd like to take a brief moment to thank the Chamber's Board of Directors and Local Government Affairs Committee for their leadership in supporting our advocacy efforts. I'm especially pleased and grateful for the support of the candidate forum sponsors, Cascade Natural Gas, GISA Credit Union, JLH Group, and Hayden Homes. And last but not least, a very special thanks to our local news partners for collaborating on this project. Your time, talent, and expertise are valued and truly appreciated.
Thank you so much, Laurie. It is a pleasure to serve the community by providing opportunities for voters to become better informed about the people who are running for office. So now let's get on to the format. Each candidate will have 1 minute for opening and closing statements. The candidates will be asked the same questions. Response time for each question is limited to 2 minutes. Time limit reminders will appear on screen at 10 seconds remaining and if necessary when time is up. So since this is a forum, candidates will not be provided a rebuttal time. So it looks like we are ready to get started. Let's begin by introducing in alphabetical order the two candidates in the race for Position 2, Washington State House of Representatives in the 16th Legislative District. We have the incumbent, Representative Skyler Rude, and the challenger is Carly Coburn. Welcome, both of you. It's so great to be here today with you both. And thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules to be here with us. We appreciate both of you and what you are doing. So if you're ready to go, let's get started. As mentioned, we will start with opening statements in alphabetical order. So Ms. Coburn, we will begin with your opening statement. You have 1 minute.
Hi, thank you so much to Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce for inviting us to take part in this forum. My name is Carly Coburn, like they said, and I am the challenger in this race. I am a born and raised Washingtonian. I've spent much of my time living in red districts. I grew up in Clark County, spent some time in Cowlitz County, as well as Walla Walla County before settling here in Pasco in our forever city. I spend a lot of time doing local activism work, both political, nonpartisan, and just kind of all over the place. I am really known locally for being able to bring different groups of people together, people who wouldn't normally be able or willing to work together, and working out so that we can all work together. And that's something that I would like to bring to the legislature if elected. Thank you.
Alrighty, Carly, thank you so much. Mr. Rude, you now have 1 minute for your opening statement. Take it away.
Thanks, Madeline. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. My name is Skyler Rude. I am one of the two current state representatives for the 16th Legislative District, which covers all of Walla Walla County, Columbia County, parts of Franklin and Benton. So it wraps around Pasco. We have Findlay, part of Kennewick, Benton City, and Prosser. Just to give you a little bit of my background, I was an insurance agent for 5 years before starting to work at the legislature as Senator Walsh's legislative assistant. So I worked there 2 years in the House and then 2 years in the Senate for her. And then I'm just completing my first term in the House of Representatives as the youngest serving Republican in the legislature at 34 years old. I serve as assistant ranking on the Appropriations Committee, which is essentially the budget committee. I serve on education, which is K-12, higher ed, civil rights and judiciary, and rules. looks like my time is just about up, so I'll save the rest for later. Thanks for being here.
Skyler, thank you so much. So now we're going to move on to the question and answer forum. For just prior to this, a coin toss has determined that Ms. Coburn will be answering the question at first and then alternated for each subsequent answers or question. Let's move on to that already. So first, Carly, are you ready? And Skyler to listen already. So this has been clearly a year like no other. Our state has been struggling with the coronavirus, economic downturn, severe unemployment, civil unrest, and catastrophic wildfires. How should the legislator address the gaping hole in the state budget?
So I believe that one of the best ways is through top-down looking at the budget. So, is there corporate welfare being given out as opposed, and I would rather get rid of that as opposed to social safety nets and other things that would benefit small businesses. The majority of businesses that have been closed during COVID are mom and pop shops. And those are the ones that we really, really need to be taking care of during this time. So probably best way is through grants, through legislation to assist them with getting through more things like taking rent hiatuses to allow businesses to gather up all the finances they need to start making mortgages again, or paying rent on their location. I think that that is a way that we could definitely address gaping holes in the state budget through helping local businesses, because they will then produce sales tax, which will then go to the state, which then we can use to fill the state budget.
All right.
You.
Carly, thank you so much. Mr. Rude, I'm going to read this back to you again. This has been a year like no other. Our state has been struggling with the coronavirus, economic downturn, severe unemployment, civil unrest, and catastrophic wildfires. How do you think the legislator should address the gaping hole in the state budget?
That's probably the question that is asked the most and the one that's on the forefront of all of our minds. As I mentioned in my very short opening that I couldn't finish. I serve on the Appropriations Committee, the Budget Committee, which the operating budget goes through that committee, and any amendments, any adjustments to the budget also go through that committee. So we're looking at about an $8.8 billion hole out of over 3 years in a $53.5 billion budget, which is significant. Out of those 3 years, more is on the front end, which is in this fiscal year. So it's a very big concern for me. I kind of break down our budget into a couple different classes. There are constitutional and contractual obligations that we can't really touch. And so most of the budget is tied up in a way that can't be reduced. I do share Carly's concerns about what I call the low-hanging fruit, which is social services. Our higher ed system accounts for about 16% of the operating budget. That's not a constitutional obligation. So what we see in a recessionary period typically are cuts to those social services and higher ed. So I think it's important to be thoughtful in that process. I co-sponsored a bill to bring zero-based budgeting to the legislature. What typically happens is we start off with the existing budget and add on to that. I don't think that's a good policy. I think it's important to reevaluate all programs and start from the bottom up. And that bill didn't get traction, but I think that's somewhere where we need to head. I've been calling for a special session because it's important to stop the bleeding. We're digging a hole and we're not stopping, which is going to create a really complicated and painful cutting process in the future. So that's where I'm at. I think a special session is what needs to happen.
All right, Skyler, thank you so much. Thank you, both of you. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to question number 2. If you had the opportunity to change the B&O tax without lowering or eliminating it, what change or changes would you make and why? Carly, go ahead.
So if I had the opportunity to change without lowering and eliminating, I think that's something that's really interesting. I know that a lot of times we talk about Oregon and their income tax, but in doing research and stuff, I found that Idaho has a really interesting system where they have a B&O tax that fluctuates, and they have an income tax that fluctuates as well, so that the population who makes the least is not being hurt as much. It was very interesting in the combination, and without lowering or eliminating it, I think that trying a hybrid would could potentially be really helpful and be really interesting to see how it might help our state. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you so much, Carly. All right, Skyler. Question number 2. If you had the opportunity to change the B&O tax without lowering or eliminating it, what change or changes would you make and why? Go ahead.
That's a really complicated, tough question. I think the reason that it hasn't been addressed is because it is so complex. What I hear from businesses oftentimes is that even though they don't like it, they don't like the tax on gross receipts. They also don't like a lot of change and uncertainty in that tax. So I think if we were to move to more of a net tax versus gross receipts, that seems like a more fair system. But I'm not a business owner. I think it would be important to have basically a roundtable discussion with business interests to figure out what kind of alternatives might exist. I think accountants that deal with this and business managers and owners are in the best place to make those changes. But based on my conversations, that's kind of what I've been hearing. So I don't have a solution. If I did, I would be pursuing it. But that's where I am right now.
All righty. Skyler, thank you so much. All right, Carly, let's move on to number 3. There are discussions about imposing a new statewide tax taxes, such as roads usage charge, a capital gains and income tax, a Seattle-based payroll tax, a tax to pay for childcare, wildfire prevention and response tax, and a carbon tax. Do you support any of these taxes, and why or why not? Go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
You're
My
okay.
mic was
You're
muted.
okay.
I absolutely, definitely support some of those. I just, I have health issues. I have asthma. And so we just finished with the wildfire smoke around here. I couldn't leave the house for over a week. And even having my bedroom window taped, ventilators on the, or stuff put on the fans to catch smoke and debris, I was waking up coughing every morning. So do we need a fire tax or to prevent wildfires? Absolutely. We need to be doing something. We need to be giving our firefighters much more funds than they have currently. Road usage, we know how the roads are out here. There's some things that we can do as state legislature, but some stuff is relegated to federal budgets versus cities taking care of certain spots. So it really does. I also believe in the child care one. I don't personally have kids. I don't foresee myself having kids, but I would happily pay that tax because I know so many people who have kids, and I know what a challenge it is to find childcare that is available to you because so much of it is fiscally unavailable. So definitely there are some that I support, and those are the reasons why. Capital gains taxes, it's not really one of my budget or one of my platform positions, so I only know a little bit about it, but it's not something that I'm really interested in pursuing at this time. I'd rather look at those other ones instead that directly affect the 16th. Thank you.
All right. Carly, thank you. All right, Skyler. So there are discussions about imposing new statewide taxes such as roads usage charge, capital gains income tax, a Seattle-based payroll tax, a tax to pay for childcare, wildfire prevention and response tax, and a carbon tax. Do you support any of these taxes? Why or why not? Go ahead.
I would say at this point, I don't support any of those taxes. Road usage, I think the concept is interesting, and But I think we run into privacy issues. Tracking mileage becomes complicated. Capital gains tax has been a discussion for quite a while, and I think it runs into constitutional problems. It's a type of income tax. The state Supreme Court has repeatedly ruled against income tax. The voters have objected to it on the ballot as well. So I think as a reflection of the will of the voters and Supreme Court precedent, capital gains is not viable. I think that at this point, our bigger problem is a spending problem. I know that's kind of a talking point on the Republican side, not just this election year, but historically, because it's a problem in Washington State. I think it's best to reduce spending and cut before considering new taxes. So income tax for me is off the table. Road usage, I'm not against it fundamentally, but I think there are too many complications at this point to implement it fairly. As far as taxing fires, I don't know how that would implement. That's new for me. So yeah, I just don't think that's the way to address this problem. We're entering a recession, or we're in a recession now, and adding additional tax burden to taxpayers just doesn't seem logical to me. So at this point, I'd be a no on all of those.
Alrighty, Skyler, thank you so much. And Skyler, we're going to have you go first with question number 4. Do you see the benefits of career-focused education and skills training programs? And if so, how do you believe the legislature, can best support them? Go ahead.
I think I serve on the higher ed committee, as I mentioned. It's called College and Workforce Development. And so I've been exposed to this issue more over the last 2 years. I think apprenticeships are extremely important. I've attended some STEM programs in the Tri-Cities and find a lot of value in that. Historically, maybe over the last few decades, there's been a lot of emphasis on 4-year degrees, maybe a de-emphasis on other programs that result in lower student debt. 2-year programs, certificate programs, apprenticeships, and other on-the-job training. So I do think that the K-12 system is really a great place to start those conversations. And we do have skill development programs in high school now. Part of my pledge 2 years ago was to not have a second job for my first term, which allowed me a lot of opportunity to tour schools. I spent 6 full days in 6 different schools, including some over there in the Tri-Cities area, Findlay and Patterson. And I got to see some of those programs, including welding, home ec type programs. So I think just kind of thinking out of the box and working toward equipping students to give them kind of the toolbox, or the tools in the toolbox to be successful in a career is really important. So I'm pleased to see that it's really a bipartisan effort. My Democratic colleagues are definitely on board with this kind of thinking and the skill development.
All right, Skyler, thank you so much. Carly, we're going to move on to you with question number 4. Do you see the benefits of career-focused education and skills training programs? And if so, how do you believe the legislature can best support them? Go ahead.
I absolutely do see the benefits. I remember growing up, the whole time I was growing up, it was college, 4-year college, then go on to get a master's degree, then a PhD. You're supposed to go all the way and spend your 20s, your 30s educating yourself in college the whole time. I've tried community college. My spouse tried what used to be called ITT Tech that, got axed. And he then later became got a CDL and was a truck driver and then a school bus driver. So short-term degrees, certificates, those types of things, internships, apprenticeships, paid internships, apprenticeships through unions. I think that those are amazing. And I think that those need to be pushed in school just as much as we push 4-year degree. Because a lot of time, I know so many people who come out of 4-year degrees and they still don't have the job that they went to school for. But if you go and work as an apprenticeship, or you go and you get your CDL, there's the vast array of truck driving jobs. There's everywhere I look in Tri-Cities, they need bus drivers. school bus drivers, city bus drivers. These are things that don't take necessarily the same amount of time. Apprenticeships and CDLs, very different, but they are jobs that are really needed and that a lot of people don't look at as a potential for a place to work, or don't think about it as a place that you should aspire to be. Truck drivers, they're the ones who feed us. They're part of our feeding process. They get us food. School bus drivers take our kids to school. So, welders fix, all of those, very important.
All right, Carly, Skyler, thank you so much. All right, so that closes the question and answer period. We're going to end this forum with some closing statements. Since Ms. Coburn opened, we will begin with the closing statements from Mr. Rude. Mr. Rude, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Thank you again so much for having me, and thank you all for who stuck with it until the end. I've enjoyed my first term. I feel like I've represented this district well. One of the first things that I noticed when I got elected is that kind of the challenges that exist to accessing the legislature for the public, since we all live so many hours from Olympia. So I co-sponsored a resolution to bring remote testimony to the House committee system. So Tri-City residents can actually go to CBC now and testify in committees. And that was just a way that we could I thought it was a good government resolution to make the system more accessible and user-friendly for the public. I started a bipartisan work group to bring Republicans and Democrats together. The motto for my campaign has been people before politics. I feel like I've lived up to that commitment over the last 2 years and plan to continue that work over the next 2 years if I'm fortunate enough to earn your support. So I wouldn't do my job if I didn't ask for your vote. So I'm asking for your vote and look forward to the honor of serving you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Skyler. Go ahead, Carly.
I'd like to thank everyone again for inviting us to this forum. Like I mentioned before, I have a history in the Tri-Cities of helping bring people together, working with various different groups on all sorts of issues, ranging from relief for COVID for those who didn't receive benefits, to working with other local community leaders and supporting local leaders and business leaders. So I would love your vote. I would love to serve in Olympia and show them the indomitable spirit that we have out here in the Tri-Cities and in the 16th LD. I love the remote access thing, and if I were elected, I would continue to push for its use and its expansion. If you'd like to learn more about me, you can visit my website at www.electcarlycoburn16ld.com. Thank you.
Alrighty, Carly Coburn and Skyler Rude, thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking time to be with us for the Tri-City Regional Chamber's 2020 Candidate Forum, featuring candidates running for the Washington State House of Representatives 16th Legislative District, Position 2. Alrighty, so as we begin the countdown to Election Day on November 3rd, please remind your friends in the 16th Legislative District to watch and get out the vote. You can find this video and other candidate forum videos on the Tri-City Regional Chamber website at www.tricityregionalchamber.com. And again, thank you so much to the Chamber, KVU, the candidates, and the sponsors, Cascade Natural Gas, GISA Credit Union, and JLH Group, and especially to all of you for watching. We appreciate it. Again, I'm Madeline Hagan with KVU News, reminding you all to vote. Thank you so much.